Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to plunge into some really complex research so you don't have to. Today, we're tackling something right at the edge of AI.
Yeah.
It's about building AI that doesn't just, read science, but actually does science.
It's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And yeah, our sources, they frame this whole scientific journey almost poetically, like the Song of Humanity.
Yeah.
Charting everything, really, from the tiniest subatomic bits right up to the scale of the entire cosmos.
Wow.
But the core issue, and this is what groups like Intern Discovery and the Shanghai AI Lab are digging into, is that your standard large language models, your everyday chatbots, they're just not built for this.
Right. They might write a decent email, maybe even a poem, but figuring out fluid dynamics or discovering a new drug, not quite. So our mission today is to really get into the nitty-gritty. What kind of special data, what kind of knowledge structure do you need for these scientific LLMs or Sci-LLMs? And the big roadblock seems pretty clear. Scientific knowledge isn't just text. It's incredibly varied, heterogeneous, as the research puts it.
That's the word, heterogeneous. And it's what the researchers are calling the Data for LLM Challenge. It's massive. Imagine trying to teach someone by giving them a novel, circuit diagrams, a musical score, and a chemical catalog all at once.
And expecting them to connect the dots.
Exactly. And understand the deep links between them. That's sort of what we're asking these AIs to do. It's a lot.
Okay, let's try and unpack that a bit. If we look at, say, chemistry or material science, what does that data pile actually look like?
Oh, it's a real mix. You've got, obviously, the text descriptions, but then you need the model to understand molecular strings, these abstract codes like SMILES or InSci that define chemicals.
Okay, like a shorthand for molecules.
Pretty much. Then add 3D coordinates showing where atoms actually are in space.
Okay.
Then reaction mechanisms, how things interact. And then spectroscopic data, NMR, UV vis, which gives you properties.
And none of that looks like a standard sentence.
Not at all. And that's just one field.
So if you jump over to life sciences, you're adding things like genomic sequences, protein structures.
Right, plus clinical images, all that multi-omics data we can maybe get into later. It just keeps adding layers of complexity.
Or astronomy. That seems like another level entirely.
It really is. You're combining images from different wavelengths, radio, visible light, X-rays, then time series data, how things change brightness over time, spectroscopy for what elements are out there, and all of this across, well, literally astronomical distances and timescales. It's mind-boggling stuff for humans, let alone AI.
What really strikes me here is how the AI has to handle the non-text stuff. It's not just seeing pixels in an image, it's getting the meaning into a form it can use, like symbols.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really key data type, symbolic representations. These aren't just numbers. They're abstract codes that keep the meaning intact, like using SMILE strings for molecules or CIF files for crystal structures. They encode the structure, the relationships.
And this is where one of the really interesting findings came up in the sources, right? About using symbols first.
Yes, absolutely crucial, especially for physics problems. The finding is that Sci-LLMs that work with the symbols, keep the equations abstract as long as possible before plugging in numbers. They actually get higher accuracy.
So it's like they learn the grammar of the equation first.
That's a great way to put it. They grasp the relationships, the structure, before getting bogged down in the numbers, which can sometimes lose precision early on. Learn the logic, then do the math.
Okay, that makes sense. It's teaching the rules of the game. Now, moving to visual data, you mentioned imaging, the list of techniques, SEM, TEM, AFM, CT, MRI. It's a lot. Can we make that more concrete?
Sure. Let's start small, really small. Atomic structures. Scientists use electron microscopy, SMN, TEM, or atomic force microscopy, FTENA. That one actually uses a tiny physical probe to feel the atoms on a surface.
Wow. Like reading Braille, but for atoms.
Sort of, yeah. Then scale it to us, to healthcare. You've got your standard X-rays, CT scans, MRIs, PT scans, all showing different things inside the body. And critically, things like histopathology slides for cancer diagnosis. These are often huge digital files, SVS format, just packed with cellular detail the AI needs to analyze.
And across all this, time is a huge factor too. Science isn't static pictures. It's about change, dynamics.
Absolutely central. Time series data is key. And the scales are just wild. You have molecular dynamic simulations tracking atoms over femtoseconds. That's quadrillionths of a second.
Unimaginably fast.
Then you jump to something like LIGO, the gravitational wave detectors. They're sampling vibrations at, get this, 16,384 times a second, looking for tiny ripples in space-time.
Incredible sensitivity.
And then closer to home, you have brain recordings, EEG or fMRI, capturing changes happening in milliseconds. The Sci-LLM has to make sense of all this motion, this change over time.
Okay, so that's the sheer variety, the multimodality challenge. But what's like the ultimate test of integration, especially in biology? Connecting all the dots in a living system.
Ah, that would have to be multi-omics integration. It's the holy grail, really. It means the LLM has to connect 7 main layers of biological information
Okay,
seamlessly.
through layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genomics, the DNA blueprint; epigenomics, how genes are switched on or off; transcriptomics, the RNA messages; proteomics, the proteins doing the work; metabolomics, the small molecules involved in metabolism, plus the microbiome, all the microbes living with us;
Yeah.
and the exposome, everything we're exposed to environmentally.
You.
And the AI can't just lift these. It has to trace the flow,
Uh,
follow the central dogma. DNA makes RNA makes protein. Understand how it all connects to give you a living process, or sometimes a disease. It's about seeing the whole chain reaction.
that really paints a picture of the data challenge. But okay, let's say the AI can process all this diverse data. That's step one. Step two is knowing what to do with it. Science isn't just a big data dump. It has structure, layers.
Exactly right. It's hierarchical. Knowledge builds on itself, transforming qualitatively as you go up the ladder. It's not just more data equals more knowledge. And the sources we looked at propose this really useful 5-level framework. It helps explain how Sci-LLMs need to operate to go beyond just finding information to actually reasoning like a scientist.
Okay, let's walk through those 5 levels. Level one, the base. That sounds like the raw stuff we've been talking about. The factual level.
Precisely. Level 1 is the objective measurements, the raw data, with as little human interpretation as possible. This is where you see those crazy data rates like ADALAS and CMS at CERN churning out tens of terabytes every second.
Per second.
Yeah. And crucially, this data always has context time, location, like astronomical coordinates or when a blood sample was taken, and very importantly, it includes uncertainty.
Uncertainty isn't an error.
Not at this level. It's inherent. Think quantum limits or just the natural variation between patients in a clinical trial. It's part of the fact itself.
Yeah.
The AI needs to understand and work with that uncertainty.
Okay, so level one is the noisy, contextualized facts. How do we get principles out of that? That must be level two, the theoretical level.
You got it. Level 2 is about abstraction, formalization. This is where the big theories live. Fundamental equations like Maxwell's for electromagnetism or Schrodinger's for quantum mechanics. Also conceptual models, plate tectonics, the central dogma we mentioned.
And things like the periodic table.
Exactly. Classification systems belong here too. Linnaean taxonomy in biology, the periodic table in chemistry. These are the frameworks, the lenses we use to make sense of the raw facts from level 1.
Right, and level three connects the facts and theories, the methodological and technological level.
Perfect. Level 3 is all about the how, the methods, the tools, the technologies we use to get the data or interpret it. Think groundbreaking techniques like CRISPR for gene editing, or powerful computational methods like Monte Carlo simulations or AlphaFold for predicting protein shapes.
And the big instruments too, like LIGO.
Absolutely. LIGO, giant telescopes, cryo-electron microscopes, they all sit at level 3. This level basically contains the recipes and the equipment for doing science.
Okay, facts, theories, methods. Level four must be where we put it all together to predict things. Modeling and simulation.
That's it. Level 4 is about building virtual experiments, running simulations to see what happens or to make predictions. And a huge challenge here, technically speaking, is multi-scale integration.
Meaning connecting the very small to the very big.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like how do you use quantum calculations, things happening at the scale of single atoms, to predict how a large structure, like a bridge made of a new material, will behave under stress? That's a multi-scale problem.
That sounds incredibly difficult. How does AI even attempt that?
Well, one powerful approach involves things called physics-informed neural networks, or PNs. Instead of just learning patterns from data blindly, PNs actually have the known laws of physics conservation of energy, things like that baked right into their structure.
Ah, so the AI isn't just guessing, it's constrained by the rules of physics.
Precisely. It helps ensure the simulations are physically plausible and can bridge those huge gaps in scale more reliably.
Very clever. Okay, so if levels 1 to 4 build the whole scientific engine, level 5 is the destination. The
Yep.
insight level.
That's the payoff. Level 5 is the discovery itself. The new insights, the new theories, sometimes even paradigm shifts. And historically, this happens in a couple of main ways. One is bottom-up induction.
Like seeing a pattern in the data.
Exactly. The classic example is Johannes Kepler. He took Tycho Brahe's incredibly detailed observations of planets' pure level 1 data and painstakingly worked up to figure out his laws of planetary motion. New theory from raw facts.
Okay, induction. And the other way is top down. Deduction.
Right, top-down deduction. Starting from a theory to predict something new. Think Einstein predicting gravitational waves in 1916 purely from his theory of general relativity level 2. That prediction, that hypothesis, drove the development of detectors like LEGO Level 3 tech for a century until they finally confirmed it, a Level 5 insight validated by Level 1 data.
So a truly capable Psi-LLM needs to do both, find patterns in data and test hypotheses from theory.
That's the goal. It needs to reason across all 5 levels.
Yeah.
Take a question in natural language, maybe translate it into simulation parameters, level 4, run it using known physics, level 2, and methods, level 3, interpret the output against real-world data, level 1, and maybe, just maybe, suggest a new hypothesis, level 5.
That paints a picture of a genuine scientific partner, not just a tool.
It does, but it also implies these can't just be generic, one-size-fits-all models. Which brings us nicely to our last segment, the evidence piling up that specialization is key. Domain specialization.
Yeah, the sources were pretty clear on this. If you want real performance on tough science problems, you need an AI trained specifically for that field.
Absolutely. The general models, they just hit a ceiling. They don't have the deep knowledge of the jargon, the specific methods, the relationships within a domain. Look at the results. In high-energy physics, there's a model called JiWu, fine-tuned just on HEP data. And it actually beats general models like Vicuna, even GPT-4, on tasks like writing specialized code for physics simulations.
That's pretty compelling, beating GPT-4 on a specific task.
Or look at neuroscience. There's BrainGPT,
Catchy name.
isn't it? Trained on over 1 billion tokens of neuroscience literature. It outperformed both general AI models and human experts on a specialized neuroscience question benchmark called BrainBench.
Human experts, too. Wow.
Yeah, and in astronomy, AstroSage Llama 3.1 scored over 86% on the AstromLab benchmark. The pattern is clear. Deep focus within a domain leads to breakthroughs right now.
But does that specialization risk creating silos? Missing those cross-disciplinary sparks that often lead to big discoveries in human science?
That's a really valid concern, and probably the next frontier. For now, though, the path seems to be deep specialization first, get the foundations right in each field. Maybe later, we figure out how to make these specialized models talk to each other effectively, how to achieve that cross-pollination. But first, depth.
Okay, so specialized models train on specialized data. But that data has to be good, really good. If these AIs are going to be trusted partners, data quality is everything. The sources laid out 4 key aspects, right?
The 4 pillars, yeah. Absolutely crucial for reliable, trustworthy Psi-LLMs. First is accuracy.
How close the data is to reality.
Spot on. How faithfully it represents the real world. If you're using satellite images like Landsat 8, you need to know its positional accuracy, which is typically 15 to 30 meters. That's a known, reliable accuracy level.
Okay, accuracy. Pillar 2.
Completeness. Does the data cover what it needs to cover? Are there gaps? Like in genomics, for detecting mutations accurately, you generally need at least 30x coverage, meaning on average, each part of the genome is sequenced 30 times. If you only have 10x, your model might miss things or make wrong conclusions because the data just isn't complete enough.
Right, missing data leads to bad science. Pillar 3 must be timeliness.
Critical for dynamic systems. How up-to-date is the data? How often is it refreshed? Think back to the early COVID-19 pandemic. That Johns Hopkins dashboard dataset was updated daily. That frequency was essential for tracking the spread and modeling interventions in near real time. Weekly data would have been far too slow.
Makes sense. And the final pillar may be the most important for trust. Traceability.
Absolutely fundamental. Traceability is about knowing the data's entire life story, its provenance, where did it come from, how was it processed, who did what, when.
So you can verify everything.
Exactly. It's about having that audit trail. Complete metadata, logs of any changes, version control, who's accountable. This is essential for reproducibility, for meeting standards like the FAIR principles, findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable, and ultimately for building AI systems we can actually trust with scientific discovery.
This deep dive really highlights what a massive undertaking this is. Building Psi-LLMs isn't just about feeding AI more text. It's about handling this incredible mix of data types, images, symbols, time series. And it's about the AI mastering that whole 5-level hierarchy of knowledge from raw facts right up to abstract theories and insights.
It really demands a different way of thinking about AI and data, reconciling logic, vision, dynamics, moving way beyond just finding patterns into actual scientific reasoning across multiple levels.
And as these Psi-LLMs get better, the ultimate aim seems to be shifting them from just answering our questions to actively participating, suggesting experiments, maybe even running them.
That's the dream, isn't it? An AI collaborator. But getting there, hinges completely on what we just discussed: unambiguous traceability.
Everything needs a clear history.
Every piece of data, every simulation step, every conclusion the AI draws needs an immutable, verifiable record. If we have that, then the AI can perform complex reasoning that we can check step by step.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. The next huge scientific leap might genuinely be made by an AI. But whether we, the scientific community, accept that discovery might depend entirely on whether we can meticulously trace and trust every single step that AI took to reach it. That traceability is the foundation for AI's future in science.